I love this quote. It says, a government that provides everything can destroy everything. And it will. It will end. We have to reject socialism, reject government intervention, and choose freedom. I love that quote. We'll talk a little bit more about that today. Also, we're going to discuss California cities, how now Karen Bass is giving cash to illegal immigrants. On top of that, again, you're going to see a clash of people. I've got some videos to show exactly how these cities are falling apart. If you live in these cities, please get out. Please get out. And then we're going to discuss the educational system, how it has failed us. It goes back to the first point. When we pawn everything off to the government, we get nothing in return. Is this a good return on investment? Would you give $100 to turn around and get $10 back? No, because you would want to get more than $100, right? Because you're investing in it. We have to learn that sometimes these programs are not what they seem. It's time to get your kids out of the public schools and put them in homeschooling. If you're a parent or grandparent, this may be the opportunity. Also, we're going to talk about a new development that China just came out with, a cyborg that has a 90% accuracy. Now, what am I talking about when I say a 90% accuracy with a new cyborg technology? And the sad thing is one you cannot see. This will blow your mind. And the last story is there's billionaires pulling way away from the market. Have you seen Jeff Bezos and what he's done and how much he's cashed out of his own Amazon stock? What is some of these big rich billionaires telling us that we should learn from to say, is our economy good or is it bad? Today we're going to discuss all that and a little bit more on this urgent Sunday alert. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you for being here on this beautiful, beautiful day. It is a gorgeous day in South Mississippi. It's my father's birthday, so we're gonna film a little earlier so we can spend some time with him. He literally turned 65, so it's kind of a big deal. So all my family's coming together, so we're gonna wish him a happy birthday. So hey, wish him a happy birthday in the comments below. He does watch our channel. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, check out the vlog channel, Life with Colby Mack. We have some great things that we show you on the farm, how we live our life sustainable, because the purpose of our channel is to gain wisdom and common sense. And what the Life of Colby Mack does is just basically show exactly what we do from our life, vlogging daily. So go check that out. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about the billionaires and what they're doing with the market. And I think this shows just kind of a bigger deal that we're not touching. And then we're going to jump right into the Chinese cyborg and then on to that great quote I read at the very first. The first story says, Jeff Bezos just offloaded another $108 million worth of Amazon stock. This comes after 2 days of selling $665 million. So just in the last few days, Jeff Bezos has cashed out almost $1 billion of the market. This comes after Warren Buffett pulling out of the market not too long ago. This comes after Ray Dalio warning that the dangers of the market, if we don't get a hold of our debt, the market's going to tank. Now, here's the thing I wish we would learn. These people have been very successful in business. Every one of these guys are not politicians that's become rich. Most of these guys were rich because of investments they've made and playing their cards right. One thing we should learn is as the Bitcoin is going to an all-time high, gold is at an all-time high, the stock market is soaring. But what else is soaring that's going to be the bigger problem? Debt. We have to realize that the debt cannot keep going. What they don't want to tell you and what people don't want to realize is, like, they had a huge conference. BRICS had a huge conference in Rio de Janeiro just the last few days. What they were saying was everyone is trying to pull together to pull away from the dollar. Well, the dollar has already lost value more than any other time in history since we came off the gold standard in the last 6 months. Now, the purpose of this is not to get rid of the dollar. I don't want to get rid of the dollar. I'm scared that the people pushing stable coins, such as our banks, the people pushing crypto, such as our government and banks, and quote unquote the parallel, I don't want to push to that society because then that puts us in a more surveilled state. I'm going to read that quote once again in just a few moments of how when we push and pawn control over someone else because we don't want to deal with the responsibility, then we become controlled. It's very, very simple. And so what scares me is while everything is going at all-time high, Bitcoin, gold, stock market, it seems like everything is going right. But if our debt keeps climbing, that means it can't all go in that same direction. Why? Do you realize we take in $5 trillion a year in tax revenue? Do you realize our debt, Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, and Social Security, those 5 things are more than the $5 trillion we take up? That has nothing to do with all the other budget that people and the Republicans in Congress and the Democrats in Congress and the Senate vote on. You do realize when Congress and them are voting on bills, most of the time it's on a budget for like $2 trillion. What that means is they're actually voting on borrowed money. That's why Elon Musk and all the big push was to get rid of $2 trillion. You can't get rid of $2 trillion without cutting severely. Now, I do think Rand Paul had a great plan, and this comes back to, again, I think we're in a falsified world. That's what I think the billionaires are showing us, is that this is all just based on false money, that something's going to fall out very, very soon if we don't correct it. I love what Rand Paul said. He said we need to do what we call the 5 or 6% plan, where we basically cut 5 to 6% off everything. Instead of cutting programs and defunding programs, he said the only way we're ever going to get our Democrats to sign on to it, and even Republicans, is instead of, cutting this whole group out, defunding this whole thing. He said, no, don't get me wrong. We shouldn't have Department of Education. We shouldn't have PBS. We shouldn't have all that. He said, but until we get to that point, we just need to cut everything 5 to 6%. He said that will help us start balancing the budget over the next few years. Now, is that possible? I don't know. But what I do believe is that people do start seeing the writing on the wall. And I think the billionaires are seeing it first to say, you know what? While the getting's good, I'm going to go ahead and cash out. You know what Bezos has been doing? He hasn't been buying Bitcoin and jumping in the market more. He hasn't been buying other businesses. Most of the time he's been buying real estate. He's bought a lot of real estate, actually built a compound. You know what Meta's done? He's built a monster compound and put a bunker in. You know what Sam Altman's done? He's put a bunker in. You know what Warren Buffett's done? He's pulled away from the market, put it in pure cash. He doesn't believe in Bitcoin. So what I'm saying is, if you start seeing what some of these guys are doing, I think we should learn from it. Now, we don't have the billions to do like they're doing, but what we could do is live on sound budgeting, sound advice to say, you know what, we can't live above our means like our government's doing, because our government is going to cause more problems for us. Because one thing's going to happen. If the debt keeps going up, literally, it's going to come down to 2 things. I'm going to print more money to cover the debt, which is what we're doing basically right now. That's what the big beautiful bill basically does. Even though it cuts some spending, it still spends a lot. If you keep printing money and the Fed keeps buying our debt, that means inflation goes up. Simplistic kindergarten math right there. If that doesn't happen, and everybody, like the Democrats, are pushing for things like, we want to be like Switzerland, we want to be like Norway, we want to be like Denmark, we want to be like those kind of socialistic governments where they provide the means, they provide everything, they help us, they give us socialized medicine, which is 60% of Americans want socialized medicine. You know what they do? Here's what people don't realize. They're not taxing the billionaires. See, the Democrats want to act like they're taxing the billionaires to get that money in all those countries. You know what they're doing? You know what they're doing? They're taxing the middle class. Most of the middle class in some of those areas, guess what they're paying? They're paying a sales tax, which I believe that there should be a higher sales tax and lower, income tax, but they do a sales tax of like 20 or 30%. And on top of that, then they do another 50 to 60% on top of your income. So what it does, it impoverishes people. And basically, they think everything's great because the government's funding it all and taking care of it all. What we don't realize is this right here. Let's go back to the comment that I just stated. Love this comment. A government that provides everything for you can also destroy everything you have. In the end, it will. Reject socialism, Marxism, communism, and embrace freedom. Now think about that again. We need to get to the point where we embrace freedom. The only way we're going to embrace freedom is we start looking at what some of these people are doing with their money, and then we also say, government, you can't keep spending. I wrote a Substack yesterday. If you're not following me on my Substacks, I write Substacks and basically journal entries and diaries into the Substack so you can see it's a little bit more in depth. But basically, what I said was, it's very simple economics. It's very simple. We have to spend less than we make. We actually have a better vote than anyone. You know why? Because we can vote with our money. If we don't support something, we quit buying it. We boycott it. If we don't believe this person's doing right, why do we keep electing them? We actually have more power than we give ourselves credit, but we choose to pawn it off and give it to the government. That's what scares me about Bitcoin and things like that, is we're saying, look, we don't want to be in control of our money. We don't want to be in control of nothing, because really what you're saying is, even though you say it's decentralized, you don't have control of it because you don't tangibly hold it. And so therefore, the person that provides it, have we ever thought that Satoshi may be the intelligence agency? Have you ever really just thought about that? How it all of a sudden just exists? Crypto just comes into existence and goes crazy? Do you think that could be a psyop for maybe a CIA target, to where everybody puts their money on one exchange and all of a sudden they rule over everything and they can crash everything? Isn't it weird how BlackRock and some of these big players are just buying into it too? And so therefore, basically what happens is, if they want to take it, they just take it. It's amazing that we just take it hook, line, and sinker. Go to this story with this Chinese cyborg, and I think it's kind of crazy, and then we'll talk about the cities and the education. Breaking: China has developed the world's first cyborg bee, B-E-E, equipped with a miniature brain control chip that directs movement with a 90% accuracy. Officials say this robotic insect could one day serve as a military scout. Look, when I think of like Ant-Man, and I think of all these Marvel comics and all this crazy dystopian stuff that we see with surveillance. You know, I told you just a few days ago, on July 4th, the day of freedom, that they were flying drones, and all of a sudden they could see thermal imaging of where these people were shooting fireworks, which was illegal in California, of course. And so therefore they wrote them fines and basically charged them taxes, because these people were shooting fireworks, and they only saw it not because police called it, not because their neighbors called, because there was a drone in the sky. And now China has developed this cyborg bee that they said with 90% accuracy, and it's so fast you can't see it. Think of the surveillance that is coming our way when we trust everything to the government. The government, when we think they're watching out for us, they could be just basically in full control of us. Now there's another story, and this is where we have to camp out for a little bit. There was a situation where, again, people are rising up against law enforcement. This is becoming a major problem. Civil unrest is becoming a major problem. I want to show you these two videos, and this is from California just over the last day or so.
Take a look at this video right here. It appears a protester fired some kind of gun at federal agents. This happened this afternoon. It was a really chaotic scene at the time. A lot of smoke was being launched at the protesters. And again, it appears a protester fired back with that weapon. It looks like he fired at least a couple of times. We have not heard about any agents being hurt.
Now, the purpose of wanting to see this, you see this guy is literally, they're fighting, and then this guy brings out a weapon. This is the kind of mentality that we're coming into. And you know what's so sad? Guess who's not condemning it? Gavin Newsom's not condemning it. Neither is Karen Bass. And we're going to start seeing this liberal ideology flow through to where then we build for civil unrest. You know how you get more government control. You know how you get more overbearingness? It's because you cause the unrest. The unrest causes for more obstruction and for more surveillance and more police state. Well, these people are going and trying to find criminals, and now there's been a major pushback, and then now this guy brings out and then starts shooting at them. Now, that was just a few days after in, I think it was Texas or Arizona, where literally there was a guy came in and tried to shoot up the whole place, tried to hurt the ICE agents. This was after the fact that in New York and Los Angeles, they started destroying ICE facilities. We're seeing this more and more and more. And what I'm saying is this: if we see our politicians just making light of the civil unrest, we are now building a true society of almost Gotham, like Batman stuff, where it's like everybody's against everybody. It's like the Wild Wild West, where there is no good, there is no evil. It's just every man for himself. When we get to that point, then we've lost society and we've lost civility. Rand Paul said something I thought was really good on an interview with Mauro Nafal. He said, America could fix every problem it needs by cutting a little bit off the budget. America could stop spending. The Senate and Congress could go back to their constituents and say, we're actually going to do what you say. They could actually fix it. We could actually not go into wars. We could actually make peace. He said, but sadly, because America is in such a spoiled mentality where we think everything always is going to come and be okay for us. He said, for instance, Democrats believe in complete modern monetary theory where the budget and the deficits don't really matter. We just print ourselves out of debt, basically, into prosperity, which is so false and fake. And he said, then you have the Republicans who say they want to cut, but ultimately they're doing the same thing. They want to keep a job. So he says, what we're actually seeing is a problem. He said, what we're going to see, the only way that we're going to fix it in America is a complete and utter mass event. A major civil unrest, a major disaster, a black swan, a major crisis. He said, because until then, no one is going to fix the problem. It's kind of like in our lives. How many times have you kind of hit a roadblock and you're like, I'm not going to worry about it. And all of a sudden, they tell you to slow down. They tell you to slow down. All of a sudden, someone gets cancer and then it changes everything about your life. Until something happens, a major wreck happens, something slows you down because it was catastrophic. What if all of a sudden you're spending money and you got debts and you're like, hey, I don't mind. I got 3 or 4 cars. I can afford the monthly. I can afford the house payment. And all of a sudden, bam, you lose your job. Your whole life just changed, didn't it? And scarcely with what's happening in these towns and these cities with the civil unrest and with the polarization and the fact that the politicians are literally making the infighting happen by Karen Bass is giving cash to these people. That goes right into the last point I want to kind of bring up with school. Because with the civil unrest, with the problems with the cities, you need to make sure that your kids are grounded and that you're grounded. It's Sunday. First of all, I hope you're in church. Second of all, I hope you're teaching your children what true, wrong, and right is. I hope you're letting them understand what it means to balance a budget, what it means to have common sense, to have wisdom. This is from Twitter, a guy quoted. He says, isn't it strange that after 13 years of government education, you're 18 years old, and most 18 years old individuals cannot grow their own food. They don't even know where to start. Can't build a house or fix a car, so they don't know basic tools and mechanics. Are economically and historically illiterate, so they don't know where we came from, how our history is, what America is made up of, and how actually to build the economy and understanding true, simple economics of adding and subtracting, savings and guidance, wants versus needs. They have no idea. They struggle with depression. They're unaware of proper nutrition and how the body actually functions because all we've been taught is you could eat this hot dog, you could eat this pizza, you could eat this hamburger, you can eat this fast food, and it doesn't matter. As long as you take a little protein, you'll be okay. And that's false. I told you plenty of stories here where people have quote-unquote gardens and they take it to the farmer's market and they're selling you all this crops and pretty much every one of them are modified and sprayed and got pesticides and it's really no healthier than the burger that you're eating from McDonald's. So we've not taught our children anything about true life and sustainability. Has zero skills of money management and understanding investing, tax strategy, and we believe that this is the generations that's going to save us. We're teaching our generations to be more and more in prison. It's time to break free from the system and quit being a dependent. The reason we homestead, the reason we're sustainable, the reason that we teach our children different, the reason we homeschool, the reason that we do life like we do is because we don't want to be like everybody else. We don't want the status quo. You shouldn't either. You shouldn't want to be in piles of debt. Man, I look around sometimes. I went to Walmart yesterday because we're cooking again for my father's thing, and we grow our own food, but there was a few things that we need to pick up because it's a big crowd, and so we understand. So we went and bought a few things. We like Zevias. If you haven't had a Zevia, basically they mimic other sodas, and it's healthy for you. It's not bad for you. It doesn't have sugar. It doesn't have all the junk in them. So anyways, we went and picked up some of this stuff. Random organic ketchup, all that kind of stuff, make a burger and chicken. And to see people in dire straits. Some people using EBT that probably, in dire straits. People that are in wheelchairs who are struggling to buy ends meet. People who are literally trying to go in the freezer aisle and buy, small pizzas because school's supposed to start, and these heat up breakfast sandwiches because, school's supposed to start. So you're feeding your kids all this junk. It's just, we're so broken. And it's so sad to me. And let's go back to the first quote and then we're going to end because this makes perfect sense. We have to break free from this mentality. The cities, quit living in cities. Quit relying on government to teach your children. Quit relying on government to be your pension and social security provider, so that means retirement forever. Quit relying on government to be your Medicare, because guess what? What's going to happen is when we build a true Medicare for all, then they're going to pick and choose who gets the treatment and who doesn't. What we don't realize is we're broke as a nation. We're broke. We can't keep fixing things that, if we're still broken, how are we going to fix everybody else's problems? It's amazing how we elect these people who has literally broken our system, and we keep electing them thinking they're going to do something better. Back to the quote. The government that provides everything can also destroy everything. In the end, it will. Such as every human condition. This is what Mike Lee said. He said we have to reject Marxism and choose freedom. When we pawn our children off on the government, they're going to teach them the indoctrination, not education. When we pawn our health and our retirements and our monies off to just let everybody else tell us what we should be doing, and we don't build common sense and wisdom, then basically we have to look up one day and say, what happened to our money? When we live like everybody else, for instance, just yesterday, my bush hog is down. So I called a guy and I said, hey, will you come look at bush hogging my field? He pulls up in this brand new spanking truck, gorgeous truck. Now I'm riding with like older trucks because I told you I don't buy new vehicles. I just think that's the biggest crock of mess that we've been fed, that we have to buy new vehicles. So anyways, we're over to this field and I said, look, my bush hog's down, I gotta fix it, but I need this cut. And his words to me, driving this probably $75,000 truck, is, whew, I'm glad you called because I need the money. We've been slow and I have got to pay some bills. And I was heartbroken because I'm thinking, this guy's been taught like everybody else. I mean, he was middle-aged too. We're not talking young, we're talking 50, 60 years old. And he was so indoctrinated that he's probably still in debt up to his eyeballs. He's driving a brand new truck and he's trying to make as much money as he can because he believes the answer is making more money instead of building good principle. That's what we've done in America. We've not built good principles. You wonder why these people are attacking officers on the streets? You wonder why they can't manage their money? You wonder why all this stuff goes wrong? You wonder why our families are broken down because we benefit EBT and SNAP programs and giving to families when there's not a father in the homes? You wonder why we're broken? You wonder why there's civil unrest? It's because we've pawned off responsibility and wisdom and common sense and understanding for someone else to fix it for us or someone else to teach it to us. And we're broken. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. We appreciate you. My goal is to, hopefully we can gain wisdom. It's time to change. It's time to stand up for your freedom. Everything else, to me, they can dabble in front of you, but if you don't pay attention to straightening up your life first and understanding that you've got to get some junk right, you've got to break away from the system, you've got to homeschool, you've got to get out of the cities, you've got to figure out what's best for you, then you can start seeing more clearly. And I think that'll help us be better as a nation. Thank you for watching. God bless.